Welcome to this SBIA webinar on FDA's NextGen portal. We'll be talking today about new events called the Research IND and alternate submission that have been added. I'm here with my colleague, Adarsh Patel, who will be demonstrating in the system what these new events look like. On our agenda, we'll be talking briefly about the electronic submission paths to CDER. We'll be giving a brief introduction to CDER's NextGen portal, what's new with the portal, how to sign up, where to get support, and then Adarsh will be giving a live demo in the portal. So there are 3 different electronic submission paths to CDER. The first is CDER's NextGen. This is a CDER-only This is for CDER only, and it can be used to submit drug shortage notifications, non-ECTD submissions to DMF Type 3 and research INDs, non-ECTD submissions to applications granted an ECTD waiver, pre-ANDA meetings, GDUFA 2 program user fees, generic drug controlled correspondence, drug development tools, the ability to request an application number, and for other non-ECTD submissions that typically come in paper, such as medical gas, promotional materials, emergency use authorization, or certain types of pre-submission. The second electronic pathway to CDER is called ESG, or the Electronic Submission Gateway. This can be used by industry to submit material electronically to all centers at FDA. Specifically, this ESG is where you would submit your ECTD submission to an NDA, BLA, ANDA, IND, or DMF application. It can also be used to submit non-ECTD submissions to DMF Type 3 and research IND, or submissions which have received an ECTD waiver. Post-marketing submissions can also be submitted through ESG, as well as SPL submissions. A third way to submit electronically to CDER is called CDER Direct. This is for CDER submissions only, and these are for SPL submissions. Examples include NDC labeler code requests, product listing and reporting, establishment registrations and annual updates, and so forth as they are listed here on this slide. So this slide is just meant to give you an overview of the 3 different electronic submission paths to CDER. And now we will go into more detail on the CDER NextGen path. Now, a little background about CDER NextGen's portal is it's a collaboration portal in a cloud-based system that has enabled a transformation in the way CDER and industry work together. The big benefit here is that you can register for this portal and start submitting all in the same day within a couple of hours. There's no special software needed. There's no certificates that you need. You can send it in really quickly. Now, here's a slide to show what we have already done in the CDER NextGen portal and what is new. So in 2017, drug shortage notifications and pre-ANDA meetings were added. In 2018, GDUFA 2 program user fees and controlled correspondence were added. In 2019, drug development tools and the ability to request an application number was added. And then just recently in March, we added the ability to submit an alternate submission and a research IND. So what's new here? For research INDs, We are targeting sponsors who submit those research INDs in paper or otherwise non-eCTD format. There are benefits that are listed here at this hyperlink, but they go into the ease of registering for the portal and the benefits of submitting electronically rather than in paper, and how that will get your application to the reviewer quicker. Here are some metrics we'd like to share with you. Now keep in mind that the ability to submit a research IND through CDER NextGen was just recently implemented on March 20th. So in March, 15% of research INDs were submitted through CDER NextGen portal. But as you look at April, 48% of research INDs had come in through the CDER NextGen portal. This is a great improvement, and you'll also notice that the volume of paper submissions dramatically decreased once we implemented the ability to submit via the portal. The other event we added to the portal is called the alternate submission. So the target audience here are sponsors who currently submit the following types of material in paper: EUAs, DMF Type 3, marketing and advertising, certain types of pre-submission where the content is not going to be part of the application, medical gas, and applications which have received a waiver from the eCTD guidance. So in general, the goal here is to provide a way for industry to send submissions without the need for paper or electronic media. So you may wonder, how do I gain access to the portal? Well, if you are an existing CDER NextGen portal user, the next time you log in, you will see that you will have the FDA alternate submission and research tabs available to you. If you are a new user, then you can register very easily through the sign-up process. And my colleague Adarsh Patel will now lead you through that new registration process. Thank you.
Good. Hello, this is Adarsh. Adarsh Patel, and I am going to be speaking through a live demonstration for the CDER NextGen portal in order to showcase what the FDA and Deloitte Consulting has built in the lab in order to make electronic submissions for research IND and FDA alternate submissions, as Jonathan mentioned. So first that we'll go through is a streamlined process in capturing user data in registering for the CDER NextGen portal. Upon entering edm.fda.gov, you will be able to create an account by simply selecting Sign Up. Upon selecting this Sign Up on the welcome page, you will be directed to provide critical information in order to generate an account. So we will collect the first name and last name, which are required. Middle name is an optional field. We will collect your email, the country, which does allow for international users as well, and phone number. Upon entering these critical information, the user can agree to the terms and conditions and select Submit. Upon hitting Submit, the user will get a notification letting them know that the account has been successfully created, and an email will be provided to that email that was selected within the registration process. This email will be similar to something that you see on the screen, and there will be an activation link. This activation link will be valid for 7 days, and after receiving this link, simply by clicking on the URL, the user will be able to set up their password, security question, and select a security image. For the password, the user is required to enter an 8-digit character with numerical and special symbols with an uppercase and a lowercase symbol. Upon entering these critical information, the user will select Create My Account, and you will be prompted back to the home page. Upon returning to the home page, you can leverage that same username, which is your email ID, and the password in order to select Sign In, and you will be prompted for a multi-factor authentication tool. This is a 6-digit character that will be sent to your email in order for you to verify that this account belongs to you in that email. And simply by selecting do not challenge this again will allow the user to not have this prompted in every time that you go into make a submission, and you may verify your identity for the next 60 sessions. Upon verifying, the user will be prompted to review your profile. So this is the critical information that was entered earlier on with your first name, your last name, the email, and the phone number. And by simply clicking on next, the user is prompted to provide their organization. So with a user, each user is able to provide an organization that they are affiliated with, and there is a lookup that can be leveraged within the SBIA with any organizations that are tied with the organization. And by simply searching it, you can see what is available. However, in this instance, a user is also able to manually enter the organization if not located. By selecting enter organization manually, the user will be allowed to enter in the company name, the country, state, their address line 1, address line 2, city, zip code / postal code, and a DUNS number. Now, a DUNS number may not be applicable to all organizations. So in this instance, since it is a required field, we are allowing anyone that does not have a DUNS number to type in the numerical digit of 9 times, which will bypass the opportunity to enter in this information and add that organization for the purposes of this registration. I will select add organization, and at this point, the organization has been added to my profile, and I will be prompted back into the landing page where I can simply sign in, and now I have access to Research IND and FDA alternate submission. What we will move on shortly after this is into a live demonstration of both of these use cases within CDER NextGen portal. However, we do want to provide you with a location where you can access user guides, and they will be available as part of this visual representation for Research IND, alternate submissions, and also for the registration guides. Within these hyperlinks, there is also an opportunity to look up any general questions and answers that have been prompted throughout the lifetime of this portal. And there's also a help desk that can be reached out at with EDM support at fda.hhs.gov. For any questions related to CDER electronic submissions, please reference esub at fda.hhs.gov. At this point, I will transition on into sharing how a live demonstration of the CDER NextGen portal will work. Go ahead, bring that up. Okay. At this point, the user has already registered, so we will walk through the process of making a Research IND submission along with an FDA alternate submission. I will simply click on Sign In. And at this point, I am automatically directed into the landing page due to the fact that I have already done my multi-factor authentication and I have saved this browser for my login credentials. I will click on Research IND as my first submission process, and at this point you will come to a standardized landing page that is very native to this portal. There will be a section for submitted Research INDs where any of your previous submissions can be highlighted in this section, and your saved Research INDs. So in the event that a submission has not been made, you may leverage the saved Research IND component and make a submission at a later time if you needed to retrieve additional data. I will select on creating a new submission in order to start a new submission for Research IND. Upon clicking on that button, a user has the ability to see information on what is necessary for Research IND, and we are focusing on what is needed in order to make the submission. So within Research IND, it is imperative that we know if an IND number, if you have a Research IND number. If I select yes, I will be prompted to provide the IND number. If I select no, I am not required to provide the Research IND number. In this instance, we'll select yes and type in the application number. This is a 6-digit numerical code, and we will also have the opportunity to provide additional information, such as, does the submission contain clinical study/protocol trial information? Now, in this instance, if I select yes, I will be prompted to provide an NCT number, which can be retrieved from clinicaltrials.gov. Now, even though I know that my submission is clinical study protocol, it is not mandatory for me to provide the NCT number. As we know that there could be some time in retrieving that NCT number, but we are more than welcome to make this submission for this Research IND. At this point, I can enter in my 8-digit numerical code for NCT, and upon entering this numerical code, I have the opportunity to add this number, and the NCT component is added within the table. If this is not a study protocol trial, clinical study protocol trial, then I can select no and continue on with the submission as well. The last question that is prompted is allowing the user to notify FDA if this is a COVID-19 treatment. If this is for a COVID-19 related treatment submission, then please select yes and continue on into the next screen where you have the opportunity to provide additional documents. And within this selection, the portal requires that a cover letter is uploaded. So in this instance, we will select cover letter and browse for the cover letter within my laptop or computer. And I will be able to attach that document. Now, within the allowable formats, they are PDF, MS Word, MS Excel, a SAS file, XPT, text, a SimSick simulator, and an MP4. Now, there are limitations to the file size, which is 45 megabytes, and macros are not allowed. However, if the file does exceed 45 megabytes, please work towards reducing the file size or dividing up the files into different files. At this point, the user can also attach their brief documentation or provide their brief documentation, and we will go ahead and provide cover letter. And in this instance, I can now confirm my attachment. By confirming this attachment, I have now saved this document and I am ready to review the information that I have submitted or that I have entered in order to make my submission. So the document can be seen right before making the submission, along with all the answers that I have provided. At this point, I will see the information that is on my profile, and by simply agreeing to the terms that are listed below, the user is now able to make their submission to FDA. By clicking on Submit to FDA, the user is able to retrieve a unique identifier. However, in this instance, if I did need additional information such as a document, I can save this as a draft, and if I don't want to keep this submission and want to delete it, I have the opportunity to delete it before I make this submission and start all over for another application. In this instance, we will click on Submit to FDA, and this is where the unique identifier is provided, and the event number will look similar to RI and then a 6-digit numerical code, a 5 or 6-digit numerical code. And for any technical support, you may reach out to edmsupport@fda.hhs.gov. Now, the user will also receive an email notification, and in this instance, we will go to the next stage of our live demonstration of going through and making a submission for FDA alternate submission. At this point, the user can simply navigate to the top of their homepage and select FDA alternate submission. And as you guys saw, similar to Research IND, the layout is broken down very similar, and the user can start an FDA alternate submission by simply clicking on Create New Submission. At this point, the user is directed into providing the submission type for this FDA alternate submission. Now, unlike Research IND, FDA alternate submission allows for a various number of submissions, such as drug master files, type 3, ECTD waive submission, emergency use authorization, marketing and advertising, medical gas, and pre-submission. Depending on the type of submission that is selected, the user will be prompted to provide additional information. In this demonstration, we will move forward with the drug master file type 3. With drug master file type 3, the user is mandated to provide the application number for this DMF. So in this instance, we will type in the 6-digit DMF code and continue on into a similar process such as Research IND, where we can upload our cover letter. This is the only required document, so the user can simply select cover letter. If they wanted to provide the form 3938, you are more than welcome to. And similar to Research IND, you can select other for any type of document that may not be listed here. In this instance, in order to make the submission, we will collect cover letter, browse for that document, open it, and provide any brief description if you like, but it is not mandated, and the format and the maximum file size is very similar to Research IND. I will confirm the attachment, and at this point, my document has been saved. I will now review the submission, and this submission will allow us to see all the information that we have entered, review our submitter information similar to Research IND, and also certify that what I am sending to FDA is accurate. At this point, I will also make a submission and receive a unique identifier for that submission with a value of D3 and a 5-digit numerical code. So at this time, a submission has been made both for Research IND and also the FDA alternate submission. This will conclude the live demonstration for both these two use cases, and we look forward to you coming to edm.fda.gov to make these submissions for an electronic submission. Thank you.
Thank you, Adarsh, for that very informative demo. And I just want to let people know that in Adarsh's demo for DMF, that was only for DMF type 3. The type 3 is the only type of DMF that is allowed to be submitted in non-ECTD format. And you may have noticed, a few of you, that Adarsh showed that there is a form 3938 for the DMF type 3. This is a new form that we have not yet made available. So once we do, we will provide additional communication about that. But obviously, submitting a 3938 is optional and is not something that needs to be submitted at this time in May of 2020. So thank you for attending this SBIA webinar. And if you do have questions, please direct any questions that are specific to CDER NextGen portal to the EDM support at fda.hhs.gov. And if you have just general questions about submitting electronically to CDER, please feel free to contact the electronic submissions team at esub@fda.hhs.gov. Thank you.